I got into a lot of situation where a lot of Muslim brothers who I held in high regard turned me down, say words that are very, very hurtful. If Allah should decide to test your patience, wow, ya salam. It's actually not funny, brother. It goes beyond you just telling someone to hold on, stay strong, recite Qurans.
Your faith, your iman, your trust in Allah, if you are not equipped with that, it could lead you down a very dark place.
Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Just to give a background to the listeners, we met a few years ago, and I think it was on Instagram, and then we did a couple of like podcasts through the Muslim Experience. That was a project that I was working on. We've somehow stayed in touch. You reached out to me recently as well, so that was nice
Yeah.
just to have that contact. And I'm grateful to have brothers like you who, where we can remind each other about life in general, our purpose, and just general things that help us navigate through life. But I want to give you this opportunity to introduce yourself to the listeners. This is a new show. This is on YouTube, so inshallah you are going to be on YouTube. The floor is yours.
Assalamu alaikum. Peace be upon you and everyone watching. My name is Shuayb. I'm a Nigerian. I'm a graduate of building technology. Uh, I'm a writer and a voice artist. It's been a beautiful journey, and inshallah, I'm also interested in everything that has to do with seeking for knowledge in Islam. I'm a beautiful fan of the recitation of the Quran because it actually calms my soul. And
Cool.
also, I love histories and myth about Islam's and stories about the ancient Greeks, the Egyptians, the Roman. I'm a book person. I love everything that has to do with stories, either psychology, philosophy, history, in as much as it builds my knowledge Islamically, morally, and also financially, which is also quite
Mashallah.
important in today's activity.
Yeah.
So, mashallah, that's it.
So I wanted to ask you about the books. What was the first time you thought you told yourself, I like reading, I like books? What age did this all inspire you?
I'd say I'd been reading for a very, very long time, but the age at which I got inspired by a book, I think it was during my adolescent period,
Yeah.
because that particular period was curiosity for me. You
Right.
know, most young adults at that age, they are curious. They want to know more. They want to know why. They want to know what it is and why it is the way it is. In fact, at some point, if you read a lot, you are going to even question the existence of Allah, which, of course, when you go deeper into knowledge morally and through the right channel, you understand that there are limits to knowledge and questions we can ask. So
Right.
I think, yeah, I would say it was between the age of 19, 18, 19. Yeah,
Yeah.
18, 19, 20. I think during that age, I read a book by Friedrich Nietzsche.
Nietzsche. Okay. I remember.
Yeah, I think that was one of the books that actually did inspire me a lot. It was one of the first books that opened my eye to a lot of things because at that age I also read Harry Potter, I read The Lord of the Rings, I read Things Fall Apart by Chinua Achebe.
Yeah.
At that same age, I've read a lot of poetry collections by Edgar Allan Poe. I've read
Right.
a lot of Islamic books and Islamic stories by a lot of sheikhs. And one of my favorite books then was an Islamic book that talks about prophets. It gives history about all the prophets, talking about the Prophet Yusuf, Prophet Musa, alayhi salam, Prophet Yaqub, all of them telling us their various niche, their professions, what they did for a living, how righteous they came, how they went about their people. But one most important thing I learned there or why I love Friedrich Nietzsche. It's not because his book has more values than other Islamic books. No, it doesn't at all. But it gives me a lot of time and space to read because it was a book I think I finished within a span of 3 years. I read it thoroughly for 2 months.
Yeah.
I didn't understand. That was the first time I read the book and I didn't understand. Probably because those Islamic books I have been reading, they were a bit straightforward and attached with Islamic knowledge at some point because I already have a basic foundation of Islamic knowledge, so I understood a lot of stories there. But for that particular book, I read it and I saw where it questions a lot of things. It questions even the existence of God, Islam, Christianity. And then I read it again and I got to understand his point of view. And then I read it over and over and over until I got to understand a lot of things he was saying. And then I noticed it was not just about questioning the existence of God, it was actually questioning the human thinking and how our brain and our curiosity works. And I think that's one of the most important things we need to understand by
Right.
Frederick Nietzsche, which was why he was one of my best writers back then.
Thank you for sharing that. I recently had a discussion with, there's a podcast that I recently did with Danny, and we talk a lot about existence and, who am I? So, like we ask a question, who am I? And normally we would put a label to that. So, well, I am my name, right? I am what I do for like my daily activities, if it's at work or whatever. So we tend to put a lot of labels on us, but when you take those labels away, ask
Out,
yourself the
yeah.
same question. Who are you? So I want to ask you, who do you think you are and what do you think your purpose is in this life, on this earth? You've been put on this earth. What do you think it is? Or have you yet to figure that out?
Well, in all honesty, I can answer that question, but it's not going to be complete. But because just like you said, yet to figure it out completely.
Yes.
Not that I don't understand, but I'm going to say just like you said, you're right. Most times we ask that particular question, "Who are you?" And for me, back then, I would simply answer and say, "I'm Shuayb Yakub." We are actually beings beyond just our names because
Yes.
our names are actually identifications of us. It is us identifying ourselves, but that is not actually who we are. It's like saying this is a cup. Yeah,
Right.
it is a cup. Okay, what is that cup? What is its purpose?
Purpose. Yeah.
You understand? Yeah. So for that cup, the name of that particular object there is a cup. So
Yeah.
the name given to this being, this whole creature, this soul in this body is Shuaib. But
Yeah.
outside that particular soul, a lot of things are going on. So who
Right.
actually am I? Yeah, it's a beautiful question. And in all honesty, I'm going to say I'm still yet to figure that out completely. But I know for some time now that my sole aim and purpose on this earth is to appreciate Allah's creation, to
Yeah.
appreciate and worship Allah, and then also to be able to acknowledge good and bad, which is one of the major reasons why we've been given senses. I think, and I know that my sole aim is to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, regardless of how I do that, either by charity, by obeying my parents, uh, by advising my brother, by being a good Muslims. The sole aim there, regardless of how hard or how rough my path or easy my path is, it is actually to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
One of the things we're reminded about when you said that is when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us our sole purpose. We were created, whether that's man or jinn or angels or whoever, whatever Allah created, it is for the sole purpose of worshipping Him alone. And of course, that doesn't mean you sit in a mosque for 24 hours and you do things at home. You take care of the needy. You take care of yourself as well. Like taking care of your soul, feeding yourself food, but also feeding your soul through prayer and, remembrance of Allah, all these various things. And that is all worship. That's what I love about Islam. It's not just something that you just wake up with and say, okay, well, I'm going to fit 30 minutes of my life of this day for, purely for Islam. No, it's not. You literally walk and talk Islam. So I wanted to ask you, that person, Shuayb, what does he do in that situation? How does he react to that test?
It's a very, very difficult and a very, very simple question. It's actually difficult for those who don't have Iman. And I
Yeah.
think it's simple for anyone who has Iman and has faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because I don't think there is any situation you are going to be in this life that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not aware of.
Right.
And I don't think there's no time you raise your hands up and supplicate that He doesn't listen. Now, there's a difference between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala acknowledging your dua and also accepting your dua. There's a difference between those things. And we need to understand that every test we go through, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has already written it. Whether bad or good, sad, whatsoever it might be. So
Right.
whenever you find yourself lost or you find yourself distant, it's actually very, very beautiful, because you're supposed to acknowledge that, yes, you are in a hardship. And Allah Himself has told us in the Quran that He doesn't test us with that which we cannot bear. He
Yes.
doesn't any human a burden which he or she cannot handle. And Allah tests only those who He loves. So when you are in a very difficult situation, I think that is why I said it's very simple for those who have Iman. I think
Yeah.
it's best to acknowledge that yes, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has loved you that much to be able to test you in different kind of trials and tribulations. And inshallah, if you hang in there, your reward is going to be very, very fruitful. So
Subhanallah.
when Allah gives us this test, it means, yes, you're actually one of my soldiers. And I love you so much, and I want to see how you manage this. Now, it is left for your Iman, or left for you yourself, to be able to scale through and understand the love of Allah towards you and manage yourself in that condition. Sometimes we pray for patience, and Allah puts us in situation where we would have to be patient. And most times when we pray for courage, Allah puts us in a difficult situation where all we need to do is to be courageous.
Yeah.
So if you're out there, you're listening, and you have been tested, or you are going through test currently, I want you to know that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala loves you so much. And inshallah, brother or sister, if you hang in there, your reward is going to be very, very fruitful and beautiful, because Allah does not burden us with that which we cannot bear or we cannot handle.
Wow, I felt that, brother. I felt those words. Definitely. You mentioned about no burden beyond our capacity. Allah knows our capacity and He will not go over that. Nothing more, nothing less. It's just the right amount. And also, Allah knows us more than anyone. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows us more than our parents. The mother who brought us into this world, Allah knows her, like what she went through for you. Tests are a way of to strengthen your faith as well. So we're told in Surah Al-Baqarah as an example, and we will surely test you with something of fear and hunger and a loss of wealth and lives and fruits. But look how it ends. It says, but give good tidings to the patient, right? So you mentioned about patient. When you're in a situation where you're tested with patience, that is where your true test of faith is also. Because just as much as when we are in a good condition, in a good moment in our lives where nothing is going on, right? Are we grateful? Because when we're in a testing time, sometimes we tend to forget that we also had good times. We also had moments where we had ease. So let's be grateful in all conditions. That way, whatever Allah puts forth, whatever test is there, like I think you mentioned this, it's either there's a lesson, there's a wisdom, there's maybe something you're being protected from. So I want to ask you also with regards to patience. Like someone says, "Yeah, be patient," but you are going through it. You only know how patient you have to be. Was there ever a time in your life where your patience was definitely tested, and how did you help yourself?
Well, yes, my patience have been tested several times, and
Yeah.
I think it will be tested right now.
Yes.
Yes, because I think when people think about Islam is when
Yeah.
Allah puts you in all this situation, yeah,
Yeah.
and you have to find a way to get to Allah in the sense that you have to find a way to pass that test because you as a good Muslim knows that this is a test from Allah and you want to succeed in this examination Allah has given you. It's actually very, very beautiful
Yeah.
because at first I I've had it rough, I've had it kind, and I have had it way, 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 way rough. At some point, I had to step so low to even ask those who I'm not supposed to, those who I know by far I am doing much, 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 much better than. But at some point when Allah tested me, I had to ask them for help.
Yeah.
And in those time, not every one of them came true for me.
Yeah.
A lot of them could not help. Most of them wanted to, but they are not having the capacity to. Some of them, everyone had their reasons.
Yeah.
And at some point, I felt that is one of the reasons why um, a lot of people make a lot of huge mistakes in Islam. Because at that moment, I was offered different kind of ideas, and a lot of things were playing in my head.
Yeah.
And if I was not careful, I think I would have left Islam because
Wow.
I had a lot of options of going into things that are way, way, way beyond my knowledge. Just way, way worse than that. I'm talking about going into all these ancient beliefs and superstitions that has to do with all this voodoo and black
Yeah.
magic stuff where you have to source for your source of income through a very, very devilish manner. You
Oof. Yeah.
understand? The means by which you invoke the knowledge of all the jinns and the rest, make a lot of
Mm.
dark sacrifices, etc., etc. I was tested with that.
God.
And
Yeah.
at some point, I had a lot of people who came to me willingly. I said, look, you don't have to stress. You just need to give your soul to the devil and
Oh my
you're going
God.
to do whatsoever it is you want.
Wow.
And at some point, I got help from people who were outside Islam. A lot of Christians who will
Yeah.
tell you that, okay, all you need to do is to just accept Christianity. I got into a lot of situation where a lot of Muslim brothers who I held in high regards turned me down, say words that are very, very hurtful.
Oh, that's not good. Yeah.
They said what they are very, very hurtful. In the sense that if I hadn't put myself together,
Yeah.
I would have chosen one of those options because these my own people here who claim to be my brothers in Islam had turned me down in a time of uh, help and need because
Yeah.
I went to them and I took myself so low to seek for help. They turned me down, and then someone out there is telling me that okay, he's willing to assist me. I should just leave Islam, and the other one is telling me that okay, fine, I don't need to even do anything. All I need to do is to just believe that okay, there is no heaven for me and I'm going to hell straight. Let me just join the devil's clan. Let me just do whatsoever I want. So whatever it is that I need is going to be offered to me in as much as I give my soul to the devil. So I think
Yeah.
in those moments it's actually very, very trying for me. It's just like if you knew the person was not going to make it, then you would have not even taken all those debts. That was how I felt. That was how my iman was tested
Yeah.
because I got into a lot of things where I just wanted it to work out.
Yeah.
And after getting all those troubles, it didn't work out.
Yeah.
Now I'm left to pay those debts on my own, do this, do that, where I am completely stranded and don't know how to even start repaying.
Yeah.
So it was very, very troubling for me. I think even till date, till currently, while I'm speaking with you, I have a lot of people who are threatening me, like sending me death threats. Some time ago, some people came down to my house, embarrassed me with the policeman, this and this. And it's not because I don't want to pay back, but I don't just have it right now. And I've
Yeah.
been cut off from every means at which I'm going to get it. So when I sit back and think, I have this person here who is telling me that, okay, brother, just come and join us, and we're going to offer you this, we're going to offer you that. All you need to do is to sell your soul to the devil. You know, at that particular moment, I was left with this brink of Iman that just held me together. I told myself, you what it? Like, I just lost someone dear to me. So should I, for that reason, give my soul to the devil and then risk going to Jannah to see her? I spent a lot of nights sleepless and depressed. I was thinking of ways to just get all these things together. And as I speak to you, 3 days ago, 3 days, just 3 days ago, someone came all over to my house with other people, with friends and gangs, just to beat me up because I have not been able to reach our agreement on paying back my debts. And that same 3 days ago, I sat back and thought about it. I said, wow, Ya Salam, how do I do this, Ya Allah? I wake up in the night, I sit down, I stare at the ceiling and I cry, I cry, and I weep and I beg Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah, make it easy for me to pass this test. Make it easy for me to scale through. And wallahi, I don't think there is any test that is as great as the test of your patience. Because if Allah should decide to test your patience, wow, ya salam. It's actually not funny, brother. It goes beyond you just telling someone to hold on, stay strong, recite Qurans, because you get distracted with a lot of things going on in your head. It takes a lot of iman to keep you together because you want to even pray to Allah, but you are distracted. You can't even pray perfectly because a lot of things are going on in your mind.
Yeah.
Because you're thinking 10 minutes later, someone might stop you on the road and tell you, okay, where is my money? You go further and someone might stop you and say, hey, where is my money? Or probably when you go out to the society, a lot of people tag you and tell you, okay, that's a debtor who is not paying you that. But only you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows the real truth. And it's not something you can discuss with someone. Inshallah, I am not dead for holding on. I am not dead for believing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a plan for me. I'm
Yeah.
still alive miraculously. And miraculously, day by day, even with what people will say, even with the embarrassment, for holding on, I'm not dead. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala miraculously keeps me alive every day to witness the next day, to witness the next day, to witness the next day, the day after. And in as much as I am alive and I have that intention to pay, I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to make it easy for me because this thing I did was not something I did intentional. I did it out of fear of losing someone. So, and by the end of the day, I still lost that person. So you should not in any way give up in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because Allah will never give up on you because Allah has said it. He said if you should come to him crawling, he will come to you walk, he will come to you running. So, and just like I said, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not burden any soul with more than he or she can carry. So you should know that this test from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will surely come to pass. All you need to do is to hold on. That moment you feel everything is crashing down on you, that is actually when you need Allah the most. And that is when you should raise your hands and supplicate to Allah because any imam or any scholar or any brother who tells you it's easy, wallahi lazim, he's lying.
Yeah.
But this is what they will tell you. It's not easy. It might not get easy. It might never get easy. But Allah's reward is permanent.
I'm just, I'm shocked. I'm sorry you're going through this. And may Allah grant you ease in all your worries, in everything that you're going through. Anyone who's listening to this, please, join me in making dua for Shoaib and anyone else who is in your situation, because it is tough. And I always remind myself, let's say if I'm going through something, I always tell myself there's someone else out there who's in a far more worse situation than me. I appreciate you
Now,
sharing your story because, I'm speechless. I don't know what to say, brother. Honestly, I am. And I'm grateful that you're vulnerable here today and you're truthful and honest in everything that you're going through. My sincere du'as for you and your family. May Allah make it easy for you. May Allah remove these burdens, whatever you're going through. May Allah make it easy for you. I mean, I think honestly, I'm lost for words. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. I really don't. You've kind of what you shared with me. It's kind of opened my eyes even more to what could be. I could be in this situation. Anyone could be in this given situation. Your faith, your iman, your trust in Allah. If you are not equipped with that, it could lead you down a very dark place, very dark places. Of course, like you've had so many different options where people have come to you and literally presented to you a solution. Like, here, take this, and I'll give you this. I'll give you the world, but I have this. You have to do this, That in itself, that's your biggest test. And if anything, if I can say something to you, that in itself, because you didn't go down there, you don't know that could have been your means, that your ticket literally in your hand to Jannah. That's it. Done. That's your done deal. That could be it. We're told that even if like a person, how mercy Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is when even a person who's literally sinned all his life, but at one point he did something good out of the fear of Allah. Just for that, he's going to be admitted into paradise. An atom's worth of a good deed. Can you just imagine that on a scale? He doesn't want to punish us. Allah doesn't want to punish us. He doesn't want to throw us into the hellfire. Yes, it was created, but it's for those who just literally knew the truth, but they still disbelieved, right? They still didn't want to turn to him. Out of what? Out of spite, out of ignorance, out of, oh, no one else is doing it in my area, no one else is doing it in my community, so why should I do it? But the thing is, when you think like that, you're depriving yourself of this beautiful faith, this connection that you have with our Creator. Like we're told, keep hold of the rope of Allah, right? Keep hold of it. Even if you feel weak, keep hold of that rope, because that is your success. You could lose everything in this life, but that's not a loss. But if you lose Allah, that is a loss. That's your biggest loss. And that's why we say if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is testing us with things, yeah, test us. Yeah, we are going to get tested, but do not test me with my faith. I need you. Do not leave me even for a blink of an eye, right? We don't want to, because we're so dependent on Allah that we need Him. We need Him for everything. So we just interviewed Brother Shuayb from Nigeria. And honestly, this is a very touching story. We are definitely going to have him back on the show. So stay tuned. If you want to hear more about Shuayb, make sure you subscribe, hit the like, hit the bell icon, and stay up to date with our content. All right, until next time, peace. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Take care.